you for joining us today for the Wing Spotlight interviews. We're joined today by Tracy Kliphuis, the CEO and co-founder of EnviTrace. Tracy has over 20 years of technical and management experience related to regulations and restoration. She's also an artist, chemical engineer, mediator, and recognized leader with public outreach expertise. And in this interview, we'll be diving more into her background, her journey as co-founder, her company, mentorship experience, and what drives her each day. Welcome, Tracy. It's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us today. So let's dive into some questions, shall we?
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start off by just learning more about your background. So can you share some details about your educational background, your journey, and how you found yourself in geothermal and the tech space?
Sure. So I studied chemical engineering, as you mentioned, at Tufts University. And soon after that, I realized I didn't want to work in the traditional chemical engineering fields. So I moved into research at UC Berkeley for a little while. And then when I came to New Mexico, I started doing environmental regulation. And that was something that I felt passionate about and able to translate many of my chemical engineering skills. I was regulating a lot of oil and gas. So that was fulfilling. And then at some point around COVID, um, my partner and I decided we wanted to have more impact with our skills. And if we combined them, we could really make a difference. And that was when we started the company and started working on AI for environmental problems.
Great. Yeah. So, I mean, you've mentioned your partner now, but were there other pivotal people that were along your journey that helped to kind of guide you to where you are today, or pivotal points that were really important for you?
I think I signed up for a very intensive year-long leadership training with an organization called RIHEL,
Okay.
Regional Institute for Health and Environmental Leadership. And I think that was really pivotal because it gave me a lot of the skills, like the high level leadership skills and practice. It was a year-long program where we had a passion project and mentors and workshops that lasted several days, like kind of retreat workshops. It was just really excellent. I think that was a big thing.
Yeah. So that was something that you were doing while you were still working, was this leadership course?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. And so it was for leaders from the whole like Rocky Mountain corridor.
Yep.
And we would all meet in different cities for these workshops. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that was something that you applied for to get into that?
Yeah. And actually, when I was a division director at the state of New Mexico, they asked me to be on their board of directors.
Yeah.
And so I had kind of like an inside experience, and I learned about the program being on the board of directors. And then at one point, when I stopped being on the board, I applied to actually be in the program because it looked so inspiring and
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what sort of specific characteristics, beliefs, or actions do you think were vital to getting you where you are today?
Great question. I think that I tend to be extremely curious, and I think
Yeah.
that that's a characteristic that has helped me because I'm always wanting to learn more, like wanting to learn about leadership, wanting to learn about mediation and becoming a mediator, all of those kinds of things, beyond just the technical curiosity of like wanting to learn about geothermal, but also learning about leadership.
Oh, yeah. So are you able to share more about EnviTrace? So what your company does, what you're doing in the company right now?
Yeah, yeah. So we're trying to solve environmental earth science problems using artificial intelligence. My business partner used to work at Los Alamos National Labs and developed that expertise, that AI code writing expertise, but he's also a geoscientist. So, and then my environmental experience kind of merged. So we're developing these methods and tools, kind of like from data to decisions is one of our taglines, methods and tools to be able to understand data so much better than traditional methods. Like, you've probably heard that joke, like if you give five geologists a set of data, they'll all come up with different maps.
Yep,
And we
definitely.
we believe with the AI is that we can get like much more reliable, reproducible, defendable information.
Okay, great. Yeah, so that's definitely one of the great things about AI. I mean, AI is really a buzzword right now. So are there other reasons why you think AI is particularly important to our field? And why is your AI particularly different from them?
Great question. Well, I'll start with the last part. Our AI we're using science-informed machine learning,
Okay.
which I think is like definitely a step up. It's just much more reliable. We're imposing like scientific formulas and information into the AI training so that the data can get, or the algorithms can get trained a lot better and faster, more efficiently and more accurately. And I think
Okay.
it's more reproducible that way.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely like that because AI can become a bit of a black box in the middle and not as physical. So yeah, putting in those constraints, I think can be, yeah, really helpful.
Yeah, yeah, and we're also making almost all of that open source so that people can also
Oh, okay,
look in our
brilliant.
black box, so to speak. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so going back to the first part of that question then, why do you think AI is great for this industry?
Well, kind of going back to what I was saying about the geologists making the different maps. I mean, I think AI, it's so hard to know what's happening under the surface, for
Yep.
example. Like, I mean, there's limited amount of data, there's lots of data gaps. And so this really helps fill in a lot of those problems or those missing pieces of information.
Okay, great. Yeah. So I also saw on your website you mentioned a lot about your company's community education and outreach involvement. Can you talk more about that?
Sure. So we've hired several interns, like from disadvantaged communities, or we've worked with minority serving institutions as collaborators on our
Yeah.
projects, like New Mexico State University. We had an intern from the College of New Mexico Community College. Was a graduate from a boot camp, and we really kind of trained her on trying writing code and wrangling some of the data. So we believe, like, we really try to hire people in New Mexico. We just pivoted to a bookkeeper that's here in Santa Fe. We're really excited about. So we just are very community oriented. I also still volunteer as a mediator for the state of New Mexico. I
Okay.
do that maybe once a month if I'm lucky. Just feeling like just ways to give back as much as possible.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So I have so many questions about your co-founder journey, and I'm just really excited to ask you all of these. So bear with
Yes.
me. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about EnviTrace and how that came to be. So how did you and Monty meet and then come up with the EnviTrace company and then decide to go for it?
Right, right. So we first originally met when I was working for the state of New Mexico as a regulator, and he was working at Los Alamos, and we crossed paths because he was helping characterize a contamination, a hexavalent chromium contamination, and I was there inspecting sort of the facility or the contamination site. But we we it was kind of the end of COVID when we were like kind of having to go back to the office and realizing we wanted to do more and we wanted more freedom because the COVID gave people a
Yeah.
little bit of freedom, and we wanted to maintain that feeling of freedom, but also do more. And we just really realized that we could work together and do something really exciting. So we were actually on a camping trip at the sequoias, like in the
Yeah.
giant trees in California, when we like really started seriously thinking about it. We had our big ideas under the big trees. We like to joke.
Yes. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So I mean, we're in the same Thermal Trailblazers group together. And this week we were talking a lot about risks and getting out of your comfort zone. So I'm really curious, what made you decide to actually take the leap into starting the company? So it's one thing to have the idea, but to actually do that. And what was going through your
Right.
head at the time?
Well, so we were really lucky that what we did was in our own like time after work and on the weekends, we worked together to apply for a DOE SBIR grant.
Yep.
And we were so lucky that we got it the first time we applied. And so
Oh,
we didn't really have to jump. And once we got the grant was when we stopped our jobs and started the business more officially. So we were really lucky in that way that we had sort of we had funding to start off right away.
yeah. So you kind of laid the groundworks before you fully jumped into it. And then, yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, did you feel prepared or ready to actually be a CEO of a company?
No.
Yeah.
Even though in a ways I was, because I had been like a high level manager. I had several hundred people in my chain of command at one point in my career. It's still different when you're a CEO.
Yeah.
of your own company. The responsibility is really overwhelming. There's just a tremendous amount that I was kind of naive about, realizing the level of stress,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I mean, it's a good challenge.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're 4 years in now, since you started
Mhm.
EnviTrace for almost 4 years. So, do you think you made the right choice? And after everything you've been through, are you glad that you took the leap? I mean, knowing now all the stress and responsibility you feel, is this?
Yeah. Honestly, I have mixed feelings about it.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm really glad because it's been really fun, and it's been fulfilling, and um, we don't yet know where the company's going. So I don't want to say like I'm completely glad. And it's also like taken a toll on my health, like for sure. It has been so much work, and that like finding that balance to exercise in the morning is sometimes really, really challenging for me. And so honestly, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. So, you're still working on that balance. And do you have any, yeah, ideas right now about how to work towards that, achieving balance?
Um, gosh, making appointments for myself to go to the gym hasn't worked. um, like all the kind of obvious high level. I think now that spring's coming, maybe it'll be a little bit easier. But no, honestly, I don't have any great advice for myself or anybody else on that balance other than trying to be as aware as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're all trying to figure out balancing work and life. And yeah, it's hard.
Yeah,
But yeah,
yeah,
I think you're doing a great job. I mean, you started a company, you're working through it. And maybe it's a season that you have to work really hard at the start, and then you'll
hmm
figure it out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit more about what some challenges are that you found while starting and running the company? And what are things that you would have liked to have known before you started the company?
Let's see. Yeah. So some of the challenges are hiring, of course. Being a woman-owned business, I wanted to maintain a balance. That's definitely been a challenge, especially in geosciences. I mean, you probably notice. I've talked to other women when we go to conferences. You look around and you're like, how many women are in the room compared to men, and it's always lower. So that's a challenge. It's also a challenge finding talent in New Mexico. We can't, we just really can't stick to only hiring people in New Mexico, especially for those high level scientists. Um, but let's see, what would I have liked to have known before I started the company?
Yeah.
Um, I would have liked to have known. This is really silly, but staying in compliance with government grants and having really good bookkeeping and accountants, I would have liked to have known that it
Yeah.
was worth paying top dollar to get the right accountants right at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Things that you don't really think about so much when you're starting out. But yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think this segues a little bit into our next discussion about mentorship. So, can you talk about your experiencing navigating being a leader in the tech and geothermal space and why it's so important to have women in leadership roles?
Right. So yeah, women in leadership roles it's interesting because I can talk about my own experience, because as a woman, as a mother, I can empathize with the challenges of women in the workforce. When I was at the state, there was a point where there was a new mother trying to balance work, and she was still breastfeeding her baby, and her husband was bringing the baby at lunch. And I happened to see them in the hall, and it was heartbreaking to see. And I could feel, having been a mother, like I could feel how hard that was for her. So I made the decision to let her work from home and fight that battle. This was before COVID, where that wasn't really a traditional or acceptable thing to do. But and this is a high performer that we didn't want to lose, right?
Yeah,
So I think being a woman gives us insight into struggles, where we can support other women in the workplace. It's important.
yeah, that's amazing. Um, yeah, so talking a little bit more about Mentorship. So, what has been your experience in terms of mentorship? So, who mentors you? How do you conduct mentoring? What is your mentorship style? And what are the most important things you aim to achieve when mentoring?
Wow. So
That's a lot
nobody
of questions. Yeah.
actively like officially mentors me, and I don't officially mentor anybody else right now. I did go through a coaching training, and I
Yeah.
do know how to like be a coach, which is a little bit different than mentoring. Um, and I'm also not coaching anybody actively right now. But if somebody really is looking for a coach, I'd be open to doing that, like for somebody, one or two people. So putting that out there for the world. Um,
Yeah. So, what does
somebody in
coaching entail?
So coaching entails being like a strategic life partner, a strategic life assistant, where you help people with their strategic thinking, but you don't ever give them advice.
Okay.
So it's really like helping them figure out how to manage their life without any advice. Um, just kind of helping them think. I don't know what that.
Yes.
Um, so a lot of it is just listening and reflecting and asking the right questions.
Yeah.
So that's my style. I think actually going to
Yes.
mentoring is I don't like to give advice.
Yeah. I think that's a great kind of mentorship style is getting people to think for themselves and find their own
Mhm.
answers, but just helping to kind of guide them through that, I think can be really powerful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So, what would you say is your North Star? So, what gets you up in the morning and keeps you moving forward?
I think I just the idea of making the world a better place is my objective for my life, or the meaning of life for me, helping people.
Yeah.
If I feel like I did a little bit of that in a day, then I'm pretty happy.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. So, what would you say a typical week looks like for you? Is there
um, yeah, I
a
don't know. There's no typical week other than the bookkeeping and the conference calls and outreach. I've been trying to move my role as CEO to really that higher level of networking and getting collaborators, moving towards moving our products into the market, developing those kinds of relationships. But there's still a lot of day to day, pay this bill,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. It's really varied, which I like. That's the exciting part of it.
Yeah. So, do you have any hobbies that you would want to talk about?
Wow, I have a lot of hobbies.
Oh, yeah.
I think I shared some pictures with you of my backpacking to hot spring places.
Yes.
Um, and so that's a big hobby that I absolutely love. I also love to paint. I also love to make perfume. I think that will be my next business venture. Is a is a is a New Mexico perfume, interactive perfume thing I have.
Yes. So, where people can mix their own scents or
No,
how?
something a little different, but I can't say
Oh,
yet.
okay. Don't spoil it. Yes. We'll have to look out for
Yeah,
it. I'm excited.
yes.
Great. Yeah. So, I mean, you mentioned that you're an artist. So, how do you think that helps or applies to the tech industry? And where do you find space to be creative in the tech space?
Hmm. So there's definitely a role of art in tech for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
you want to, even if you have like a software dashboard, you want it to be visually pleasing and compelling. And I think for our company, our branding, all of that can be our really artistic. My partner and I, you've probably seen it, often do our hair purple when we go to conferences as
Yes.
part of our branding. Um, and so that's just fun for me, like bringing the art into it. When we apply for grants, we also make these really beautiful super figures,
Oh, yeah.
where we use AI generation, but it's also really like these super figures are technical because they're explaining our technology, but they're beautiful. So
That's
we like
amazing.
that, and maybe that's helped us with grants. I don't know, but
Yeah.
that's kind of fun. And so, what was the other? So, um, I find space. I find space in that by making those things, right? Like
Yeah.
giving myself the freedom to be a little bit creative in these tech things. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that's great. So what advice would you give to the younger generation who are interested in starting their own company or starting out in geothermal?
Oh, wow. Well, for starting your own company, I'd say it's really important to do the personal work, um, so that you can communicate effectively and feel confident in yourself, work on your public speaking skills. That's been a challenge for me. Things like that, so that you're ready. Like when you face those big challenges with like conflict within work, if you know how to have a constructive conversation in a productive way, those are really, really important skills to have. Um, and then starting out in geothermal, um, I would just say go for it because it's a really wonderful community. People are really passionate, and
Yeah,
it's such a great resource, that we're like on the precipice of using more and more.
yeah, absolutely. I found that too. The community is just amazing. So yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so now let's dive into some questions about the future. So where would you personally like to be in the future? Say maybe the next 5 years.
Wow. I think I'd like to be passing the company over to our employees.
Okay.
Um, our model is employee ownership, and I think in 5 years, I think I'll be ready to just be like take a back seat, and continue mentoring people, let them
Yeah,
shine, and take the company to the next level.
oh, that's great. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, and then what would you like the next phase of geothermal to be? Also, maybe the next 5 years.
Wow, interesting. I think, I mean, we are working on a new project for greenhouses. I think I would
Okay.
love to see more and more geothermal heated and cooled greenhouses, improving food security in remote areas, like especially Canada and things like that. Native lands where there's not a lot of farming, like,
Yeah.
I think that could be super cool.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah. So what would you say you're most passionate about now? And what are you most excited about in the future?
Wow, just in general?
Yeah, geothermal, your
Yeah.
life, what, anything.
What am I most passionate about now? Well, obviously running the business and getting the
Yes.
business to a point where we're really making sales or marketing the software and getting customers. I feel like we've been so fortunate to be getting all these grant money, even from the state and from the federal government. I feel a huge responsibility to be effective with that money and not to waste it. So I'm very stressed and passionate about being being effective. Yeah,
Yeah. And then what are you most excited about in the future?
in the future. Wow, oh, for geothermal, I mean, I'm really excited about geothermal becoming more and more of moving from being the redheaded stepchild to the star of 24/7 renewable energy. I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, I think we all are. All hoping for
Yeah,
it. So yes. Well,
yeah.
that's actually all the questions I have for you today. So I would just like to say thank you so much for chatting with us. This has been amazing to
Thank
get to
you.
learn more about you and your journey. And yeah, just thank you to everyone who's watching this interview. And if you would like to learn more, please read the accompanying article on the Wing USA website and be sure to watch our other interviews on the YouTube channel. So thank you again.
Thank you.